Welcome to Conversations with a Wounded Healer. I'm your host, Sarah Bueno. I'm a psychotherapist, teacher, consultant, and most importantly, a wounded healer, living and working in Skokie, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. This is a space for thought-provoking, unscripted conversations with people from all walks of life, united by the shared mission of healing ourselves while promoting healing in the world around us. Whether you're here to find inspiration, learn, or simply feel seen, you're invited on this journey of healing from the individual to the collective. Thanks for joining me. Hello, and welcome to the video version of Conversations with a Wounded Healer. I'm your host, Sarah Bueno. If we have not met before, welcome. Hi, great to have you here. I'm going to adjust my mic a little bit. I just got a fresh head shave. Very excited for that. And I'm just happy to be here when the sun is shining and sharing a really kick-ass conversation with you all. So we're going to be talking with Schuessler Zam. And if you have listened to the podcast before, Annie was a guest back in 2001 on Conversations with a Wounded Healer. And then I had her on my Burnt Out Practice Owner series in 2024. And now she has joined us again to grace us with her amazing presence. And we talk about estrangement from families and our own healing processes and all of the things in between. And I'm so grateful to Annie. First of all, I love stories of people's healing journeys. I think it's just the most interesting thing to me. I'm always wondering, like, what was the thing that like really did it for you? And for Annie, IFS and brain spotting seem to be things that were amazing for her. Obviously, y'all know that NARM is the thing for me. And I just find it so cool. And I think we're in a time right now where we have an invitation as therapists to level up or deepen in, if you will, to our own work, because I'm going to clap while I say this. We are not going to get through this without doing our own healing. We're just not. This is a time that therapists have never lived through. And where we are in the industry right now needs a lot of upgrade. And I think that we need a lot of maturity online. We need to be able to see clearly and not have projections. We need to be able to work together through this polarization. We need to be able to communicate and hear the same things from one another. And right now we're not doing that. And so I don't know. There could be another way to do it, but the only way that I see is to do our own work. And I know that's why y'all are here, because that's what we're into. So before we get into the amazing conversation with Annie, I did just want to invite you, if you are interested in up-leveling your supervision game and having a supervision training that sort of like goes hand in hand with doing your own work, my BFF Sarah Suzuki and I are hosting an online version of our supervision training on September 6th called Bridging Heart and Practice. And you can go to tinyurl.com/the Sarah's Online Soup. That's THESARAHS ONLINESUPE, and join us. You get 6 CEs. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it gets really deep. And whether you are somebody who's new to being a supervisor or somebody who's been supervising for a long time, I think there's something for everyone there. So please join us. And now, without further ado, Schuessler Zam, they is a therapist turned healer and the host of the Rebel Therapist podcast. She helps people who are estranged from a parent or caregiver who want to heal trauma and live their most beautiful lives. So please enjoy this wonderful conversation with Schuessler Zam. Annie, welcome back to Conversations with a Wounded Healer.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm so excited to do this with you.
I'm excited. As we talked like this much before we started, I'm super excited to hear all of the updates and whatever it is that you're going to share with us today. So I kind of just want to be like, I don't know, folks, go listen to Annie's previous episode, which, God, was that during the pandemic? Was that like 2021?
That sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So go back and listen to that. So you don't have to do all of that stuff unless you want to. Do you want to tell people what you're doing now?
Sure, I could do like an update. I
Mhm.
mean, first I just want to say like you have been so generous and open-hearted with me like from the moment we met, and like
Mm.
I just like looking back at that interview, I just remembering that like just how open, kind, curious, generous you've always been with me. I just like really feel it.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. So I have made a pivot. So I was a therapist for 20 years and like very much like working with queers, relational psychodynamic. And I had, as I'm sure I mentioned in that episode, I had my own trauma, and I'm 100% sure that's why I was drawn to the work. And it didn't, I didn't really find ways to heal that trauma until
Yeah.
2023.
Mm.
So I probably didn't say that then because I don't think I knew that then.
You don't
I
know.
think right, you
Yeah.
don't know till you know.
Yeah.
So I think in a lot of ways, like I stopped being a therapist in 2020 and I just committed myself full time to business coaching, which I had been doing for a long time and had loved. And now I'm making a pivot back to healing, like not as a therapist. I
Mm.
don't have a license. I'm doing it outside the medical model. And I'm using brain spotting and I'm using IFS, although I must call it IFS informed coaching because
Yes.
these are the this is what we are allowed to say. And
I love that voice, by the way. Amazing.
but yeah, I've pivoted into really, really doing healing work again. And it feels
Mm.
totally different
Mm.
coming at it from this more healed and healing place myself,
Mm.
where there was something missing for me as a therapist. And now I feel like I know, I'm sure I'll keep learning.
Mhm.
I'm sure I'll look back on this 5 years from now with
Yep.
new awesome lessons. And like, man, was there a before and after for me in terms of like what
Yeah.
it feels like to be really doing my own healing and then doing the work from there, as opposed to kind of like stumbling through and feeling like I'm learning all these, I'm going to get certified in everything. Like I was,
Yeah.
I was Gottman certified and just always awesome, awesome trainings, but always feeling this kind of like, I'm not really enough. I'm not really giving people enough. I'm not helping people enough.
Mm.
That feeling was just so present, more
Mm.
than I even knew, because it was just what I was used to.
Right.
Yeah. It was like the water I was swimming in was
Yep.
prove you're worthy, prove you're enough,
Mm.
prove that you're a decent therapist, prove that you have something to offer. And like, if you had said that to me then, like, hey, Annie, like, you're kind of really working hard to prove your worth, I would have been like, I'm awesome. I'm not proving my worth. It's a deep, like, inner feeling
Yes.
that's different.
Dude, this is the reason for the podcast.
Yeah.
Period. Right. And I just want to reflect back to you. There was, from the outside, like there was no part of me that, like, oh, Annie is not doing her work. I'm guessing that you
Mm.
were doing your work.
Mhm.
And yet there was this really big chunk that wasn't ready to be done yet.
Yes.
And then you had built enough capacity to do the deeper dive.
Mhm.
And now you're coming with even more capacity. And so there may be another, big hurdle that you go through. But like, I guess I just want to offer that compassion to
Yes.
2021 Annie, and probably to myself, because goddamn, I love to go back and be like, oh, you didn't fucking know anything then. Now you know things.
Yeah.
But yes, in 5 years, we'll both be like, oh, look at those babies,
Yeah. And with so much love and compassion and
Yeah.
appreciation for these
Yeah.
adorable babies. Yeah. Totally. Thank you, Sarah. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and one of the big things that I'm now focused on is helping people who are estranged from a parent or caregiver. And like, I just have so much, that's my story. And I have so much love and just kind of like fierceness for folks who are on that path or who have made that choice or who are making that choice. Like, and that's something that I've been really just digging into and having a lot to say about. Yeah.
Yeah. Take us on the journey.
Yeah. So for me, I when I was like in my early 20s, I started having this sense that I couldn't be connected to my father and feel happy.
Mm.
And I also felt really guilty about that. Like I felt really like, how could I, like, back and forth on that. And I found this community of queers, like I'm queer. And like, as I started making grown-up friends, I found like, oh, a lot of these people are estranged or have been estranged from their parents or caregivers, or some of them. And like, I found a lot of acceptance there.
Mm.
Like I found a lot of curiosity, compassion, and just kind of like, yeah, I bet you have your reasons. Just a feeling of respect
Mm.
for that journey, where in general in the world, I would find a lot of like, why? You
How
only have
could
one,
you?
how could you? You only have one father.
Right.
All of those things,
Right.
like well-meaning, perhaps, like people, it just brings up a lot for people.
Yeah.
And I found like among queers, not so much of that like shock or, oh my God.
Right.
And I also noticed like a lot of these people are like really healthy and rad. Like
Mm.
these are not broken people.
Mm.
These are some of the coolest people I've ever met. So that was in my awareness as I was on the like the kind of back and forth, trying different kinds of contact, seeing what was possible with my parent. And then I became a therapist. And in that, in grad school, I started learning this idea of like estrangement, like look for estrangement, just like you might look for addiction, look for estrangement in the
Mm.
family history, look for any places where there's cutoff. And
Mhm.
that is a bad thing. And that is, just like kind of like another thing that might go in a diagnosis, like, is there
Mm.
cutoff? And so I was like, oh, well, that's not going with my experience as a queer person, but okay. And then as I started working with people and I was working in a queer agency, of course, again, I started having all these clients who some of them were on some kind of place on the estrangement continuum. And
Mhm.
once again, I was seeing like most of the time, that is not something to change. Like most of the time in their journeys, it wasn't like you need to reunify and get back in touch with that parent if it kills you. It was more like, in most cases, um, they ended up staying estranged and building a really happy life in that way. Sometimes not, like no agenda here.
Right.
But again, it just really didn't match up with what I was learning in therapy school. And then in my own personal journey, there was forever as adult, there was this back and forth of like trying on for a few years and then needing to go off for a few years out of contact. And then I had this psychedelic journey, my first guided psychedelic journey, where there was a container, there was someone holding the space. There was no agenda at all, but there was containment and care. And I had this glimmer, like this really big glimmer. And when I say glimmer, I mean like an awareness of something better, an awareness of a possibility that feels just very real and available.
Mm.
And it was, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. It was just that. And as soon as I like really felt that there's nothing wrong with me, one of the things that went with that was, oh, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this back and forth. I'm definitely not going to be in touch with my parent. And that really set me free in a lot of ways. Like it set me free to begin healing on a deeper level. And for me personally, I could feel that that back and forth was actually keeping me out of doing some really awesome, deeper healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is so interesting to have similar stories, but completely different circumstances. And yeah, like I estranged myself from my mother 9 months in grad school. I think it was after the family therapy class. And I finally, like it was the first time that I allowed myself to realize maybe it's the problem isn't me.
Yeah.
In a really more sophisticated way, other than just, as a teenager being like, you suck, mama, whatever. And after we reconnected, I didn't necessarily consider estranging myself again, but she was at a further distance, which then actually made it worse because I was setting boundaries for the first time. And then both my parents died. And so I got, I mean, thank you, but like, I kind of think this was how it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
And I did the deeper healing because they're gone, because I could experience all of the things I needed to experience without their feedback, and I wonder, I do wonder, because I know a lot of people who have separated themselves from their families, and I don't know that I would have had the strength to do that. The universe did it for me.
There's strength, and then there's also just reasons, right? Like, so I like thinking of it like a continuum, and I think you're already speaking to this, like a continuum that could be from like me and my parent are super close and we talk every day, all the way, and maybe that's great, all the way over to like we don't speak and we're not gonna speak,
Right.
and like they don't even know where I live, and like there's so much in between.
Yeah.
And what I noticed that I have done, and I notice a lot of people doing, is just like trying out different points on that continuum to see what's possible. And like there are so many reasons that are really great that people don't sometimes cut off contact. Like everything from like, it would, like for some people, they would be disinherited and that would really screw them. For some people, it would mess up other relationships that they're not ready to lose. Or that I said ready as if that's the destination, that they don't want to lose. And like when I talk to people who have separated themselves from a parent, a lot of times they say, yeah, all the things I was afraid were going to happen totally happened. Like,
exactly.
I lost closeness with all these other relatives. I lost closeness with other family members. That totally happened to me, by the way. And so I just think there are really good reasons why people make different choices.
Yeah. And I'd love to unpack, because, I'm gonna say this and then we can unpack it, but it is kind of a trend right now to go no contact. And I'd love to unpack the trendiness versus the necessity, right? Versus like all that continuum. And maybe how you're supporting people in mindfully making that choice rather than just listening to TikTok or their friends be like, you should just cut them off.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know those people. Like when I talk to people who are estranged from a parent or caregiver, they might sometimes from the outside look that way. Like they're following a trend. They're just doing it on a whim. They're, they watched a TikTok and they thought it looked cool. And they wanted to do it. But like when I actually talk to people, it's always, and that doesn't mean it is always, but when I've talked to people, it's been always like grief, pain. I've either tried everything or I've tried on, considered everything. And like I've looked at, I just know from having tried to set boundaries with this person before, I know what's going to happen if I try to set boundaries, and it's going to send me into a tailspin. I know this and that are not things they have capacity, that the parent has capacity for. And so I'm just going to have to try this, even though am I allowed to swear?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, like it fucking hurts and it's fucking painful. And I know I'm going to get judged for it. Like I know every time I go on a first date, or I, make a new friend, they're going to ask me about my parents, and I'm going to have to acknowledge this thing. So I just haven't met those people. And I feel like the way we are built is so much for connection and for like wanting that love and that connection with the people who raised us, that my hunch is that even if it looks simple and kind of like a trend for someone, it's probably more complicated, and it might be that we're having a little bit of like what sometimes happens around things like gender choices, where it's like there could be a little bit of a floodgate where some people have felt like I can't do this even though I really, 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 really need to. And then finally seeing, I guess I can. So
yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that is why it could be a trend, because it is safer now because there's more understanding societally, even though, like, as you said, on the larger spectrum, most people are like, but why?
Yeah. I also think, though, like, one thing I've wanted to be very careful about is like, in order to work with me or in order to come to one of my workshops, you do not have to write it in blood that like you've cut off contact. Like, it is so awesome and great that people might change their mind, might like find a different spot on the continuum. Like, oh my God, that's fantastic. Like if I had that opportunity, like if I had the kind of parent who there could be healing with, oh my gosh, absolutely. I'd be fine with leaving this club. Right. So it's like you get to stay in the club no matter what you decide. You do not have to go no contact to like belong. I think that's important, because when you don't belong, like when you don't feel like you belong in your family, it might feel, I would have felt this way when I was younger. It might feel like, well, if I can belong in this community, like, sure, sign me up for whatever the rules are. And so I think with estrangement too, it's just important for me to keep reminding people like, this is not a cult. There's no commitment to being part of this.
Well, because sometimes circumstances change and you want to make a different decision. Like, I mean, pretty much every decision we can make a different decision tomorrow.
Right? Yeah.
Unless it's a tattoo. But I guess now you can get tattoos removed. So like, you can make a different decision tomorrow.
Yeah. I do love that about tattoos though, that like, even the ones that I don't particularly love that I have, I'm like, I kind of like that I just have this permanent history of the kinds of decisions I made in the past, because I love her.
Yeah. It also reminds me that the body is ephemeral.
Yeah.
And when I was like, when I got my first big tattoo, I was like, what if I regret it? And I was like starting to learn about like Buddhism for the first time and was thinking like, oh, this sausage casing doesn't really matter in the
Yeah.
scheme of like my soul's existence. And so every time, like I have a bunch that I'm like, this is not perfect. Really wish it was different. But yeah, it's like this is where we are right now, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with that too. Like having regret as part of my stories, like is okay too. Yeah.
Yeah. What else was I going to say about this continuum? I guess, well, I'm what I'm reflecting on is kind of a little bit of a tangent off of it,
Hmm.
but I find it really interesting my judgment lens,
Mm.
right? That I brought in. And it's like, well, some people are just canceling people.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just sort of based on like the waters that I'm swimming in right
Hmm.
now. And I don't know if it's a Chicago thing or because I was supervising two social workers yesterday and this topic came up for one of the clients that they're working with. And one of the things that I have observed with this particular therapist is that there's a very quick jump to cancel, like,
Hmm.
estrange, because
Hmm.
that's their story.
Ah,
And
yeah.
I'm finding like what I'm trying to do with this person is support them in unpacking the difference between them and their clients, you
Yeah.
know? And so, I just find it interesting
Hmm.
that we're having different experiences. And I'm interested in my judgment.
Yeah.
And because I was also thinking as you were talking, this is the fucking lesson for me is that whenever I am judging something, I need to remember that I did that too.
Mm.
Like, you
Hmm.
know, in my journey with my mom specifically, my dad was easier to cut off because he didn't really fucking care. But with my mom, I had to blame her in
Hmm.
order to separate myself for the first time.
Hmm.
And it was not an embodied like experience of righteous anger. It was definitely a fuck you. I'm just going to hurt
Hmm.
you because you've
Hmm.
hurt me my whole life. But that was a stepping stone to what eventually became a really like embodied like I can't do this with you boundary of I
Yeah.
need to be okay. And that is okay. And I need
Yeah.
to stop being so fucking judgmental at all of the different places in the journey.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Yeah. Like one thing I like to think about with the continuum is like culture will tell us, and I know that culture, that's a big word, but like culture in general will tell us like the only time you would cut off a parent is if they were whatever, fill in the blank, whatever
Right.
it is, like the absolute worst, currently, always, and always will be.
Mm-hmm. Like the
And
most disordered or something
yeah,
like
the
that.
most abusive. Yeah. And I just have a really different frame, which is where on the continuum do you find in this present time is like sort of my question for people is like where on the continuum at this time between being estranged or cordial or close, where do you find you're able to have the most real relationship with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
the most real relationship with the people who are available to be close to, like it could be a partner, a best friend, maybe how you're parenting, like where on the continuum with that parent right now do you end up finding you can do your healing and have your realist relationships and have your most beautiful life. And so it actually doesn't have very much to do and maybe this, I guess, is kind of like edgy, but like it maybe doesn't have a lot to do with a verdict about the parent, like of how bad the parent is. It's really more about like, this really is your life, and doesn't need to be justified. Like the choices that you make about who you're going to be close to and how close you're going to be to them, like as an adult, just really don't have to be justified. And I think it's edgy because, like, I know as a parent, I've got 2 kids who I just like love so much. I just want to like eat them up. And it would be devastating to me if I didn't get to be close to them. Like, I can see like how horrifying the idea is for people and why it's like so edgy. And yeah, I really don't think they owe me their presence in my life. I made the decision to parent, and they didn't make the decision to be my kid.
Right.
And I really want them to, like, on a soul level, I want them to have their best lives. I mean, they're in my life. So I'm sure this would be a lot harder to say if they weren't, but that's just on a soul level what I
I
believe.
don't know that it would for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, and what you're talking about is a paradigm shift.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my mom definitely felt she was owed some sort of gratitude for my existence, for all of the things that she gave me, right? And I mean, this is part of the fuckery, right? The martyrdom of like, I can never thank you enough for just fucking putting me into the world. Like, I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
And I do think now there is an awakening to like, oh, children are their own separate souls with separate like journeys, and being able to like foster the authenticity of your child. Oh my God, is that not the biggest gift? And if that authenticity leads them to separate from you, then that is their soul's journey.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels so real. I think there's also like a way, I sense this happening for a lot of people, definitely for me. Like, I think you were just touching on this for you, perhaps. Like, if you have a parent who has a lot of shame, if you have a parent who just like, is kind of made of shame in a certain way, like just their parts are holding so much shame and protectiveness that it can feel like I am responsible for helping this person never face their shame. I am responsible for keeping this person from those feelings.
Yes.
And the in a certain way, like one of the worst things I could do to expose this person to their own shame would be to like set boundaries, or any kind of boundary, really. It can feel rejecting to receive a boundary. I know it does for me when someone tells me like, it's a bit much right now. Can you not? Like that hurts. And if your parent is someone who you've just learned like cannot tolerate hurt, it can feel like it's your job to perform a certain way to like kind of hold and protect them.
And I mean, like my mom made it my job. Like it was very explicit that I had children because I wanted to be loved. And when I did not love her in the way that she asked to be loved, then I was bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So quitting that job is a big fucking deal. Like resigning from that position is a really big fucking deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what you're describing, I really learned in Al-Anon. And I didn't start Al-Anon until my parents were gone, but I use a lot of what I've learned in Al-Anon to support my clients' differentiation, because that's what we're talking about, right? Is differentiation. And the differentiation doesn't have to end in estrangement for everybody, because of course,
Right.
if the system allows for that, then it's fine. You can stay connected. But yeah, it's like, how do I stay connected to myself and stay connected to you? And from a NARM perspective, we'll talk about like unhealthy families. You can't do both. You either align with whatever the parent needs, wants, is asking of you, or you stay connected to your truth. And so it's not a surprise that queer people, in order to be who they are, have to step
Mhm.
outside of that system. And I think about again, I'm going to go back to the word strength, and maybe that's not quite the right word, but there is so much courage in choosing yourself versus staying in a system that doesn't want you to exist
Yeah.
in whatever way you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge threshold to walk through. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And then you kind of have those muscles from
Yep.
doing that. Yeah.
And I also heard in your story too, like what I've found. So I think IFS and NARM have very different ways of getting to the same endpoint.
Mm.
And the endpoint is essentially you being able to really love yourself on a deep level and trust in your inherent goodness and
Mhm.
worthiness.
Mhm.
And from that place, nobody chooses to make themselves small. When you are really connected to that, you choose authenticity, you choose yourself in a way that doesn't alienate people. I mean,
Yeah.
it sets boundaries with the people who can't get on board with who you really are at your core, but
Mhm.
it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't like negatively push them. And again, I'm kind of like judging it, but like you can't not choose yourself when you really believe in who you are.
Yeah. I feel that. Yeah, and definitely like the language of IFS is so helpful to me in this, and like I definitely want to learn more about NARM and how you do this work. For me, it's like it's been such a helpful, internal family systems. It's been such a helpful way to think about my own relationship with those littles who,
Yeah.
the little parts of me that like held all those really rough burdens, and like the parts of me that had all these fucked up jobs for such good reasons. And like I find it a really helpful way to work with people around, like, it makes sense that you would have so many different feelings and parts around how you want to relate to your parent or caregiver, that like
Yep.
they don't all agree with each other, and that is totally okay.
Right.
I also love what you just said about like there might be a part for some of us that needs to get really pissed off, and even feel punishing or feel like self-righteous, or like that, even that is welcome in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, I agree with you though. I don't think that's where we tend to land if we keep healing. Like I feel too like I don't know, kind of like that Prentice Hemphill idea around boundaries, like where can I love both you and me simultaneously? And I used to actually kind of hate that quote, because I was like,
Mm.
why am I focused on loving you? I'm just trying to love me. Why do I have to love both of us? Like,
Mm.
fuck that. But now
Mm.
I'm kind of with it, because I'm like, no, I can see, like, if I think of love, like Bell Hook's definition of love, like extending myself for the spiritual growth of myself or another person, like I can absolutely
Yep.
be with that for my parent
Mm-hmm.
and for me. Like where the extending of myself that feels most true and right doesn't involve having an ongoing relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I can be in not every moment, but I can be in a lot of like peace and groundedness and ease while also feeling like, no, I love him. I do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, it's not going to work to have a relationship.
Mm-hmm. And I think about love too in almost like a humankind sense, right?
Yeah.
Like I love God, it's so weird. I mean, Father's Day is coming up as we're recording this. I know it's going to come out later, but I just remember being a kid and I knew I loved my mom,
Hmm.
but I could not bring myself to buy a Father's Day card that said I love you, Dad.
Uh-huh.
I mean, first of all, we didn't even really call him Dad. We called him Paul. And
Mhm.
what like when I think about how like I could cry right now how painful that was as a
Yeah.
child to not love your dad, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I'll never love him like a daughter is supposed to love dad.
Yeah.
But I as much as I hate this, I am who I am because of him as much as I am in spite of him.
Yeah.
And I have to love I mean, no one's forcing me, but from my perspective, I have to love something about that process because I love who I am
Mhm.
now.
Yeah. And like not a single part of that is wasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because look who you are.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Where are my
Yeah. I
tissues
also,
at?
yeah. I feel like there's so much grief in this kind of healing. Like, as soon as I know for me, and I see it happening for people I care about, it's like, God, it's like as soon as we touch a piece of
Mm.
recovering ourselves, like remembering who we are, like finding our strength, it's like there is this grief of what we didn't have before. Like, a
Yeah.
remembering that can just feel so like, oh God, like one of the first things I said in that psychedelic journey after I was like I looked at the people I was sitting around and I said, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. And I started crying.
Mm.
And then within a minute or two, I was like, I wasted 51
Yes.
years. And then it was like, wow, okay. There's some grief. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like from a NARM perspective, what we would say is like that's the judging yourself and shaming yourself. That's part of the
Mhm.
developmental trauma process of you need to make yourself not good enough as the child because you can't tolerate the fact that your parent is not there for you.
Mhm.
And so we keep doing that to ourselves.
Yeah. That reminds me of something you said at the very beginning of this about it was something like you had the capacity finally to do this piece of healing.
Mhm.
And that's why, I guess that's what I heard is partly like that's why it could
Mhm.
happen then.
Mhm.
And the thing for me that really ignited it was I was doing a piece of work around trying to let in more love. And
Mm.
that was what I thought my assignment was. I wouldn't have gone to this psychedelic journey if I thought it was going to be about like CSA. I would have been like, sign me up for
Mhm.
something else, please. But like in the in the just feeling like, no, I'm here with my partner and I know I have a block to letting in the love that's available. Like
Mhm.
that was what in like really trying to feel the love that was like beaming at me, that was what like broke it and made me realize, oh, that's what the block is. And so yeah, like if I didn't have that quality of love from my partner and then
Yes.
like some friends who are just like ride or die for me for like, the last 30 years. If I didn't have that, I don't know if it would have happened. I think it probably wouldn't have because it wouldn't have been a good idea at that moment
Mhm.
for me personally and the way my nervous system works. Like I just really needed that quality of love and support.
I totally relate to that too. I always say like my husband was the first person who unconditionally loved me. And
Mhm.
from that container, it was safe enough to do the work that I needed to do.
Yeah. How long did it take for you, like, receiving his love before you were like, "Oh, there's something really secure here"?
God, we let's see. We were together 7 years when I cheated on him for the first time, and he knows this, so none of this is a secret, and I've talked about it before. When I cheated on him and before we were polyamorous, and that was when I was testing it,
Uh-huh,
I
sure.
think, because it was like, there's the honeymoon of like, this is amazing, I'm so loved. And then there's the reality of like, I have to keep being loved. I don't know that I can do that.
Right. Oh, like, keep being loved, like, even though I'm not new, like, just me?
Why are
Just
you
like,
still here?
yeah, what do you
There's
what
clearly something wrong with me. Why are you still here? What is happening?
Yeah,
I never would have been able to say that at the time.
sure.
And actually that coincided with when I started going to grad school too, because I'm thinking about the therapist I was with at the time. I call her my first therapist because I don't think I really submitted to therapy, the process of it, completely until I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
smart.
And she kept me from my marriage ending because I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I've got to tell him. And I told him years later
Yeah.
after we had, unpacked a lot of other stuff. But she was like, sometimes honesty is not the best policy when it's only to relieve your guilt.
Mhm. Yeah, so she, like, helped you slow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
digest it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was like after that rocky period was the period where I was like, oh, he's really not going anywhere. And I
Mhm.
don't want to go anywhere either.
Mm.
Anywhere, like I didn't want, that was when I was like, oh, he really is my life partner. And that's when someone was like, maybe you should read The Ethical Slut and see if there's something else. And like now I'm like, I am polyamorous. Like that is my nature. And so I just love a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do
but
you like
yeah,
do you know or like the work of Clementine Morrigan around
I don't know who that
trauma and
is.
okay, so she's a writer and she writes about really wonderful stuff. She writes about, like, polyamory and
Mm.
trauma, like,
Ooh,
so kinda like polyamory for trauma survivors,
I
and
love
then
that.
she also writes really openly about being an incest survivor,
Ooh, new
and she's
podcast guest. Thank you.
oh my god, yeah. I went to a writing retreat of hers this winter and got to, like, work with her in person, and
Mm.
yeah, amazing. You'd like each other.
Mm. Oh yeah. Okay. Fun. Yeah. Checking that out.
Yeah. Okay, so it took, like, not just time, but also, like, a process of, like, testing and
Mm-hmm.
finding the floor and all of that. Yeah,
I think so. What about for
yeah.
you?
So we had been together 23 years when we went to that journey, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think I gradually over the years felt like this is what unconditional love feels like,
Mm.
and, and it hasn't been just like a linear, like, better and better kind of thing at all. Like, we've had a lot of hard times,
Yeah.
but I think, I think actually part of I felt their love right away, like a different quality to their
Mm.
love right away. And then we have 2 kids. And so in like parenting our 2 kids, I think in order to deal with my own childhood trauma, I think I closed up a bit. I
Mm.
just like vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
I think I I kind of was like, this is what I'm focused on, is like, figuring out how to really give myself to my kids. And so then I think like staying together through that, and then like they still are here. They still need some things from me, but they've got other things to do at this point. And so I think by the time we went on that psychedelic journey, it was like an opportunity to kind of return to each other, and for me to like stop budgeting myself that way, and to be like, I'm actually like, it was an opportunity to actually be really, really available for more intimacy with Ames again. So in a certain way, it took 23 years to be the short answer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. What do you think about, because I should have listened to the previous episode we did together, but I'm curious about your relationship with the term wounded healer from this place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, now when I look back on, I do remember the moment you asked me a bit about that, and I was like, oh, we're being vulnerable. Which is like, so I'm like, what else are we being in this conversation?
Right.
But it just makes so much sense to me that like, that's me. And like, it's beautiful it's just beautiful that that's why I want to do this work. Like, it just makes sense on like a cellular level to me now, that the way that I'm wounded, like the way that I think just the way I'm structured now has to do with trauma, and not in like a I'm so broken kind of way, but in a like I've been fucked up by my experiences, and I have just like a really beautiful, like, I've developed myself in a really like beautiful way that is about that I wouldn't be me without that story. And it gives me like a huge capacity and kind of positive obsession about other people getting to heal. So yeah, now I feel like I love that idea and that identity. Like, whereas I think before I probably felt a little bit low-key embarrassed about it. Like, no. I didn't get into this field because of that. Like, sure, I have trauma, and now I'm like, no, absolutely. Like, that's also kind of who I'm drawn to getting my healing from, is like people who have been through some stuff. And I don't think I want to say, I don't think we're better than other people. It's not that. It's just different. And I want that from the people I'm healing with.
For me, it's always been like, I can see the people who also have darkness, and I don't mean darkness in a bad way, but I actually find that part of people really beautiful, and I really connect with that. And it's interesting thinking about my marriage too, because that's one of the places where Rich and I are so disconnected, because he doesn't have that darkness. Not that he hasn't had his own developmental trauma and stuff, but it's just very, and he would say this, he had a very privileged existence. And so it prevented, I think, a lot of darkness. And I'm always looking for that in other people to feel some resonance.
Me too, Sarah. That's interesting. Yeah, Ames also has secure attachment with their parents. Well, their father's not alive, but they have like a beautiful secure attachment with him, even though he's passed. And it doesn't mean their childhood was perfect, but it's like not at all. But it's like there's a difference there that's totally okay with both of us, and that like I think I have what you have. It's like, I think it's the beautiful thing of like, we're not polyamorous right now, but we have really close friends, and like always like not getting all my needs met from that one person, I think is great. Like,
Yes.
I'm glad that's quote unquote missing in this relationship so that
Yeah.
I can keep needing it from these other people too.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's cool, I think, for our kids. I mean, it would have been fine if it was like two of us who had a ton of trauma. That could have been beautiful too. But I do like it, this particular soup that is our little immediate family, that like the kids get to see just, oh, like this parent is this way with this history, and this one has just kind of like a lighter family history. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing conversation.
You're amazing, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's funny to look back on my career and realize this was always the theme. Like my theme is always like wanting therapists to do their work and really deepen into that. And I love, like, I don't know, this is, it's just, this is the quintessential wounded healer story of, keeping it at a distance and then really bringing it in and allowing it to transmute you.
Yeah.
So thank you I'm really glad you reached out and were like, can we do this again? Because I have more to say. And I'm like, yeah, duh.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so much has changed, and your the way you've always treated me, and then also just the way you hold therapists and healers feels so special and important to me.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to our guest for an amazing episode. To find out more about our guests, you can visit www.headheartbiztherapy.com/podcast. You can find me at Head Heart Biz Therapy on both Facebook and Instagram. Thanks to the Jules Creative Marketing team for video editing, to Liam O'Donnell for our album art, and to Ben Mueller for our theme music. And I'm your host, Sarah Buino. Until next time, bye-bye.